Are you obsessed over bettas like I am? If so, have you ever wanted to put a bunch of them in one tank together? If you answered yes to either one of those questions, then you're going to want to stay tuned so that you can hear the 10 things you need to know on exactly how to do that. Here are 10 things you need to know about starting a Betta sorority. First things first. What is a Betta sorority? A Betta sorority is exactly what you tuned into this video to see. It's an aquarium full of bettas. But the catch is, well, it's all females. Don't worry, because bettas aren't like a lot of the fish in the hobby. The female bettas are actually gorgeous fish too. Yes, they're different from the males. They don't have those flowing, dramatic fins like the males do, but they're beautiful fish. Just look at them. They're amazing. One of the biggest things you need to watch out for is making sure you're buying a female. Sometimes those males, they can trick you, and when they're young, they look very similar. Believe me when I say this, it's happened to me. Make sure you're buying your bettas from someone you trust. And it's a good thing to do some research and make sure you know the difference between your males and your females. Again, sometimes the males can still trick you. Finding a surprise male isn't the end of the world, but in some cases it could be, so just don't risk it. There's a misconception out there that female bettas are sweethearts and they can just go in a tank all together and they'll automatically get along. It's true they're not as mean as males, but female bettas can be a little nasty sometimes, and you want to make sure that you give them a good-sized tank so that they have enough room to swim around in and they can get away from each other if they need to. Just think about it. A real sorority house with all females? Most of them have their own rooms, or maybe they just share a room with somebody, but yeah, they have their own space, and there's a reason why females like to have their own space. They can be a little bit. If you put 5 or 6 of these fish in a 5-gallon tank, you may have some problems. I would recommend a 20-gallon aquarium. That way they have more room to swim around and get away from each other if they need to. Worst case scenario, a 10-gallon. But honestly, if you're new and you're not that experienced in keeping a Betta sorority, I would stick with a 20-gallon. If you're putting a bunch of fish in there, you want as much water as you can get. So it makes the fish happier, it's easier for the fish, and it's easier for you. It's a win-win. Setting up and decorating a tank for a Betta sorority is no different than setting up a tank for one betta. Except you want a bigger tank and you want more plants, or fake plants, or hiding spots. You just want more. More bettas means more decorations. One of the things we want to control in a Betta sorority is aggression. So giving them plenty of places to hide is a great way to do it. Bettas want a place they can go to and call their own and feel safe, so make sure you include a bunch of small areas for the fish to go to. This can be live plants or fake ones, rocks, driftwood, or even the little castles or treasure chests. Look at it this way, you're providing your fish with somewhere to be comfortable, and at the same time, you can create something beautiful. Check out aquascaping videos from George Farmer and Aqua Pros. Trust me, you'll be inspired. Bettas are most comfortable in a pH of neutral, which is 7. You'll also want to put a heater in the tank and keep the temperature up around 78 degrees. Warmer temperatures are generally better for your fish's overall health, keeps their metabolism up, and it helps them to fight off diseases. When it comes to feeding bettas, there's a lot of different options out there, but for this video, I'm going to give you what works best for me. I'm not a big fan of betta pellets. Even though they're small, I just don't think they're small enough for bettas. They might seem small enough to you, but if you really pay attention to when your betta is trying to eat that pellet, It's almost like us trying to shove an apple in our mouth. It's not easy. Yep, I look forward to seeing comments about that one. Anyways, I like to feed my bettas things like bug bites, frozen foods, and a good flake. My staple food for my bettas are the bug bites. The pellets are so small, it's nothing like the big old Betta Bite pellets. They're teeny tiny, they have everything they need in them, and you know what? It's so important, and I can't stress enough that bettas need a varied diet. So give them some frozen food, give them some flakes, mix it up a bit, and keep your bettas healthy. We talked earlier about giving your bettas plenty of hiding spots to help prevent aggression. Another way to do that is adding other fish to the tank. Adding tank mates helps provide some distraction, and it helps to create chaos, which can deter the attention. Basically, it helps them to not constantly be thinking about beating each other up. It causes a great distraction. We've had success in keeping pearl and zebra danios, rummy-nosed tetra, and harlequin rasboras. But I know there's more out there that they can be with, but these are the ones that have worked for me. Rule of thumb is to look for community fish, the ones that are peaceful and non-aggressive. Okay, so I know I said I kept bettas with 2 different kinds of danios, and they're a little crazy, so I'm just gonna give you a little advice here. If you get danios, try to get a small number of them. I know they like to school, so just do a minimum of 5 or 6. That's worked better for me than having like 15 or 20. When I had 15 or 20 danios with my bettas, they completely took over. They caused so much chaos, and they were crazy fish. So you want to be able to see your bettas. The whole point of having a Betta sorority is that they're the star of the show. So if you decide to put those danios in there, keep them at that bare minimum of 5 or 6. When it comes to how many female bettas to get, I've heard every number imaginable. I've had numbers between 5 and 30, and they've been fine. But this is why I suggested a 20-gallon tank, because in my opinion, to have the best success for a Betta sorority, you should have a minimum of 5 females. 5 bettas in anything smaller than a 20-gallon is a little risky. Can it be done in a 10-gallon? Sure. But it's so much easier to keep the water clean and clear if you have a bigger tank. Also, the fish will thank you. They'll be happier. But anyway, 5 or more females in a tank, that's what I suggest. This is something that I think is really important and not talked about enough. Bettas are naturally aggressive, and in a Betta sorority, we're trying to always keep the peace. One of the ways to do this is by keeping them all around the same size. I know this can be tricky because when you go to the pet store, there's usually 1 female to every 10 males. But just keep it in mind, because this is one of the best pieces of advice that I'm going to give you in this video. Naturally, if one of the fish are larger, they're most likely going to be the bully in the tank, and they're going to end up beating up all of the smaller fish. This isn't automatic, but trust me, you're going to have a much better chance of having a successful tank if you try to start them all off at about the same size. So here's the thing. The best case scenario when you're setting up a Betta sorority is to get your bettas all around the same size and the same age, just like we talked about before. I know this isn't the easiest thing to do because it's not like there's tons of females for sale at the pet store, but this is why some real planning needs to be involved before you buy any fish. The whole point to this video is to help you to be successful when starting a Betta sorority, and the best way to do that is getting them small and raising them up together. When bettas are babies, they're not really looking to fight. It's not until they get older that they start to develop an attitude, and that's when they can get a little nasty. If you raise them up together and they're always around each other, they're most likely not going to want to fight, and they're not going to be as nasty. It's not a guarantee, but believe me, it helps. Another piece of advice, if you have a successful beta sorority and you see this beautiful female and you want to add her, I wouldn't do it, mainly because there's that one single female getting put into a tank full of females that are already established, and you're risking the chance of her getting beat up. So don't do it. Start them small, let them grow up together, and they should be fine. This is no doubt one of the most important things on the list, and if you stuck around long enough, you'll be glad you did. Your chances of success are much better than the people that checked out early on this video. When you're entering the world of a beta sorority, you're entering the world of the unknown. Things could go perfectly smooth for you, or they can unfortunately go bad. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just trying to be honest. If you have one aquarium and you throw 10 females in there and things break bad, what are you gonna do?
Are you ready?
You need to ask yourself that before you buy a single fish. Trust me, you should always, always, always have a backup plan. You need to know exactly what you're gonna do if things break bad.
You're damn right.
This could mean having multiple small tanks or one larger tank with tank dividers. Setting up your backup plan should be done while you're setting up your tank. You may not know this, but I am a perfect example of this with this tank. When I first set it up, we had a huge problem almost immediately that could have ended in disaster, but it didn't. Why? Because I had a backup plan. If you want to know more about that and what I did to get through it, then you'll want to check out the video that I'm putting up on Tuesday. If you're watching this after the follow-up video goes up, I'll put a card up. You'll just click that.